Welcome to the Money Tales podcast. I'm Cammie Doder.
And I'm Sandy Brager.
If money were a muscle, would you treat it like part of your daily training routine, strengthening it with intention, commitment, and care? In this episode, Valerie Ortiz, a registered dietitian, nutritionist, health coach, and personal trainer, shares how she helps people transform their physical health. We discuss how these same patterns, barriers, and breakthroughs show up in our financial lives too.
Here are 3 key money topics you'll hear in this conversation. First, how a sudden shift in Val's family financial circumstances created early confusion and fear around money. Second, the way an awakening she had in her late 30s led Val to understand that she had the power to make changes across all aspects of her life, including her personal finances. And third, why understanding your habits and mindset is as essential with money as it is with food and exercise. Now it's our pleasure to bring you Val Ortiz's Money Tales. Welcome to the Money Tales podcast, Val Ortiz. We're so glad you're here with us.
So happy to be here. Thank you for having me. And more importantly, thank you for creating this space and podcast for such wonderful conversations and insights.
Oh, thank you for saying that. In anticipation of this conversation, I was thinking about time and the impact of time on money decisions and the impact of time on health and wellness decisions as well. The angle that I come at this topic from is as a wealth manager serving clients, helping them make financial decisions that impact them today and decades into the future. I've observed that it's very difficult for any of us as human beings to project too far into the future because we don't know what our future selves will be like. We don't know what future conditions we'll be living in. We don't know what our future needs are. The best we can do is take our experience today and sort of map that out into the future. What I found with our clients is that sometimes that means, hey, we're living in the moment. I'm making decisions that are going to make me happy today. And sure, I'll set aside some money, invest it for later on, but I'm not really focused on what my needs are going to be later on. And other clients think about it differently of, hey, I have these resources today. I don't necessarily need to use them today because I should be putting them aside and investing them for later on because who knows, I might really, really need these. So it seems like an extreme. There's either too much of a focus on the current needs or too much of a focus on the future needs. As I was thinking about this, I was also, as I mentioned before, thinking about health and wellness and how I think the same sort of tendencies occur. The way that we're feeding ourselves today, the way we're exercising our bodies and taking care of ourselves, handling our stress, has long-term implications on our future selves.
As you were saying this, Sandy, funny enough, I'm almost thinking they work in inverse, or at least for me. So short-term money decisions are easy to make for me. But it's the long-term where I think, oh, I got to put my pros and cons and I got to really think this through. And then health and wellness, sometimes, I could do something today then like, oh, I'll make up for it in the future. I'll gorge or go enjoy this dessert today because I'm going to make up for it in the future. Isn't that a funny thing?
That is interesting. I have seen people make money decisions in that way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, we all think about it differently. And I think a lot of how we think about it is influenced by our values, by how we were raised, by what's most important to us, our experiences. There's so much that feeds into these decisions. But as a wealth manager, being a third party who is objective, who knows the goals of our clients, it's our job to help our clients through those decisions, so that they're not putting too much emphasis in one spot versus the other, and that they keep that holistic view in place.
Sandy, it also, what I appreciate is having that third party allows you to be present to the decision, not be in autopilot, and take that historical behavior and just do what you've always done. And having this partner just shines a light on making sure it's intentional and it's working for whatever you're trying to accomplish.
I think that's right. And it reminds me of that Popeye cartoon. Was it the character Whitby who was always like,
Oh,
give me another hamburger today and I'll pay you back later on?
that's right. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Well, I'm really excited to be turning our conversation over to you, Val. I think there's so much about what you do today that will correlate with financial habits and behaviors. Before we go there, would you introduce yourself and share a couple turning points in your life that have really influenced who you are today?
My name is Valerie Ortiz. I am a registered dietitian, nutritionist. I am also a health coach and a certified personal trainer. It's so fascinating to hear everything that you just described and the similarities in what you do and what I do, but yet how different categories, if you will, they are in our lives: finance, health, and wellness.
And there's a big intersection too, right? Between health and wellness and money. Because if we don't take care of ourselves, we've talked about this before on Money Tales, then we actually pay the price for that literally and figuratively later on.
Yeah. And you're talking about the short-term goals, the short-term focus, the long-term goals, the long-term focus.
Habits, the importance of habits.
The importance of habits, the importance of the way we think about things and our mindset around things. I work to learn as much as I can with the people that I work with. Usually somebody will come to me in the effort of changing something, whether it's their health, their weight, their habits. So what I do is I try to learn as much as I can about that person to come up with a plan, a realistic, individualized plan that helps them meet their goals. And in addition to that, so while I'm doing that, there's a component of education and counseling. And so if we take nutrition education, about, macronutrients, protein, fiber, meal pattern. And then I spend a lot of time on the counseling piece, which encompasses everything outside of something that's food related or education. So what I do is, in an effort to create a plan, I talk about and learn more about each category to then help that person implement, but also understand that I have this saying that I came up with. I say, it's all about the food. And it's not about the food. That combines, it's all about the food, the nutrition education piece. And it's not about the food, the nutrition counseling piece.
Val, it's so interesting. We talk about your relationship with money on Money Tales, and you're talking about the relationship with food, lifestyle, exercise, things like that. So let's pivot real quick. We'll get into what you do today. Tell us about when you were growing up, and specifically how you started learning about money.
Very funny. I can't recall learning much about money growing up.
Okay.
My parents came from Puerto Rico when they were teenagers. They went to New York, and neither of my parents had a profession. My dad worked his way up from the mailroom at a law firm and started a family and became successful. When I was younger, I remember not having what a lot of people that I was growing up with had. And then, miraculously, around sixth grade, I remember us having those things. I don't know what that change was about or why that happened. I still don't know it to this day.
You still don't know. Interesting. So you weren't talking about it?
No, we were not talking about it. It's not something that we ever discussed. It's definitely something that I've learned about with varying interests along the way.
How did that make you feel just as a young child, if you can take yourself back to that place of, wow, things are different?
Confused. I was definitely confused. I didn't understand it.
Did you act differently or make different choices?
I did not. I think there was some fear or uncertainty around it with the confusion of it.
Because you're not sure why things changed. They could presumably change again.
Correct. So
fear, confusion, as you were coming into your own, growing up, how did that play out? When did you start thinking about money and thinking about your financial wherewithal?
it's kind of in line with as I was thinking about myself and growing as a person. There was a period of time where I was trying to understand more about myself, and it took me a while to figure that out. I was really, really focused on learning more about myself than I was about finances, which in hindsight, if I wasn't so concerned about my finances, I feel grateful that that wasn't a driving factor or a concern of mine. So there was some comfort there. And then as I was learning more about myself, changing things about my life, changing things about myself and what I was doing, concurrently, when space allowed, I would focus then on finances, which now, as I have accomplished certain goals that I have set for myself, and now I'm transitioning and now highlighting certain other things in my life, financial health is now something that I look more at and want to learn more about.
Give some timeline to when you started the self-discovery phase.
My self-discovery started in my late 30s. Cammie, going back to your question about some pivotal things that happened in life, there's 3 things that stand out greatly. The first happened when I was in 5th grade. I was a very smart kid. I excelled in a lot of things, and I took it for granted. I didn't know anything different. I was taken out of class for like the Olympics of the mind. I was in a very select group. There was like 5 kids there.
But I imagine as a 5th grader, that also might have been a little much of like, oh, I'm being singled out.
Sandy, yes. That's exactly why it's such a pivotal moment in my life. It was very cool. In hindsight, gosh, I wish I would have appreciated it a little bit more.
That's
true. But it made me feel
different.
Very. Especially looking back, as a lot of times people would say that I was weird. And I get that a lot. And so then you couple with being selected, I was like, no, I do not want this. And so then I repelled against all of that. I no longer wanted to be that person. Now I look at it as unique and great. That set me up for a long time of trying to be somebody else and trying not to be who I was. And I tie that into a lot of what I do now because it provided a way for me to struggle and then excel. I spent probably like 20 years trying not to be who I was, right? That's why I say that change came around like 35. Because at 35, I started to reevaluate things. I had never finished college. And I knew that I was a lot more than what I was allowing myself to be.
Wow.
I'm curious, in that phase of trying to be somebody different, I'm wondering if, as you look back on it now, if there was any manifestation of this ruse that you were living under on your financial life.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Could you say more about that?
What we focus on grows.
That's right.
Whether that's financially or whatever it is. And I wasn't focused on that. I was focused on figuring out who the heck I wanted to be. So I didn't have the capacity to spend the time in setting myself up financially. That was the traditional path that we were told, whether it be through external factors or learning. You work, you have this amount set aside for this, you have this amount set aside for that, you are saving in retirement and living in the moment. Going back to what you said, Sandy, at the very beginning, there has definitely been a change of, as much as I try to live in the moment and be in the moment because I think there's such beauty in the moment, how do you do that when it comes to planning financially? Where is that balance in it all? And where is then that balance if someone is trying to change their life through health? Where is that balance? It's all about balance.
Val, would that be to say that during that period of time in your adulthood up until your late 30s, that you were living in the moment financially and just not really focusing on anything else other than just having fun and feeding this lifestyle you thought you were supposed to lead?
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't so much as having fun. I would say that I was really, really working to understand more about myself. And financially, it was about the day to day and making it work day to day.
I'm hearing that you were aware that you weren't living an authentic experience, and that's where your mental focus was at that time. It was at your late 30s when you kind of, I don't know, seeing like the clouds parting, the sun shining down on your face.
What it felt like. Yeah.
So tell us about that, and in relation to both what you're going to pursue in life as well as your financial awakening, it sounds like.
I came to a point where I said, I need to make some changes. I want to make some changes outside of finance. But I decided that I needed to make some changes. And then I learned that I had the ability to make the changes, which I think was what I was missing up to that point. And the same with finances is if I wanted my financial component in my life to look a certain way, I had the ability to change it.
You said it, what you focus on grows.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was a big parting of the clouds, is to know I had that ability. Now, as I continue to evaluate what I'm doing, enhance what I'm doing, grow what I'm doing, it's the same in my financial life.
Val, was there a career pivot involved in the awakening?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. Tell us about it.
Because I think this will resonate with listeners. We all have these moments in our lives where we pivot, and this sounds like maybe the biggest pivot of all, becoming who you really are. And I feel excitement. I know that feeling of like, it's all clicking together. So tell us more about it.
It is life-changing when you go from trying to suppress who you are to then stepping into your authenticity and your genuine self. And that's what I did without really realizing that's what I did. And so, as I had mentioned, right after high school, I went to college. I hated it because I just wanted to be making money.
Okay.
And so I said, I'm not doing this anymore. So I left college. And I had some great jobs. I ended up in human resources in a couple of different companies. I ended up working for Merrill Lynch in the financial industry in human resources and doing a lot there. But I ended up being in a lot of meetings and in rooms where there were people there who excelled in terms of not only what they were doing, but if I look at their educational background. And because I had gone from trying to suppress who I was in fifth grade and not finishing school, there was a deficit, a hole for me where I felt I can be there too. I want to be there too. And so that's kind of what started the trajectory of me then putting it on the radar, if you will, and then implementing. Took me still a little bit of time, but I had some great jobs that I now look today as so valuable, even though perhaps it's not where I wanted to be. But every experience brings us to who we are today and what we do. And I now value that so much in hindsight, when as before I was just like, I got to keep doing something else. This isn't it. This isn't it. What is it? You know?
Val, tell us about starting this business. It's part of a journey. You're getting different certifications and degrees and whatnot. Why nutrition? And like I said, I personally see such parallels, and Sandy mentioned it, between money and health and wellness that's both financial and physical.
The reason for nutrition and actually physical activity and movement is because I know the power of it. It's what helped me make the changes. I had depression. There was a layer of depression that I have dealt with since I was a kid, which I didn't know. But as I started to reevaluate things and then focus more on what I was doing and learning more about myself, I started to eat differently. I picked up First magazine.
Yeah.
This must have been like 2008. And I started making the recipes in there. And I lost a lot of weight. I had gained weight through my, other personal circumstances. And then I picked up the magazine and I started to lose weight. And I started to feel the power of feeding your body in a manner that was in line with health. Not only physical, changes, but mental. And then I started to fold in the exercise. And now if you think about the fact that I went a long time without getting a degree, then I got my bachelor's, my master's, and all these certifications. It's like I now live in a state of just loving education, whereas I used to hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, Val, today as we walked our kids to school, my husband and I were literally talking them about the power of making healthy choices. We can all have fun and have treats, but that it's supposed to be special, and not that it's about how you feel, not necessarily how you look. It's about how you feel as a human. And I love that you're bringing this up.
That's the driver. That is the core driver of what has brought me to this, is navigating life by how I feel.
Well, it sounds like for the first part of your career, you were really focused on money. You left school, you just wanted to make money.
Uh-huh.
You had this awakening. Your focus is on how you're feeling. You're focusing on nutrition, fitness, changing of routines. You're feeling better. You told us earlier on that money hasn't been a focus of yours. It's below those top two, but I'm wondering how money feeds into that. No pun intended, but maybe. How's money feeding into your life today? How are you thinking about it?
So now it is definitely more of a focus. And I look at it as an opportunity to learn more about what I use money for, what I want it for, and what its purpose is in my life, right? The one thing I will say growing up, my father, the only other thing outside of that event that I just described was my father would tell us to save, to put money in your 401k.
Good advice.
Yeah. Back then, when he would talk about it, I thought, that is a great idea, but then how do I buy the groceries? How do I pay the rent?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that connection. And
short term, long term. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And we just never had that conversation for me to understand more about it. And now I'm learning more about it. I know that I have the ability to change certain things. So now I'm educating myself like I do with all the other categories that I've done. I'm educating myself as to, okay, what is a better plan? Where am I going? What do I want to do? What do I want to have? And finding those resources that are reputable, those resources that are comfortable, but yet also allow for growth and increased knowledge. And that's why I think your podcast is a great way of doing that, because it allows people to kind of assess and evaluate and perhaps spend more time thinking about it, in my case, than I have, in an environment that's a safe environment where it's all about support and learning more, which is kind of what I do with the people that I work with.
That's so great. Val, I want to touch on this, such an important topic with your dad. He says, put money into your 401k. And then you had a really logical, but I've got to pay my rent. And now, Sandy, I love short-term, long-term. So that's the same in your health and wellness. You talked about making these new recipes. That takes time. Maybe time that maybe you have to work or commute.
And money, fresh ingredients, right? I mean,
Yeah, right. Exactly. How do you coach your clients around that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it is so different for everybody.
Yeah, that's true.
At the core of it is, first, my job is to understand more about who I'm working with. And if I don't know that, how can I come up with a solution? Or how can I help to strategize? But I also, at the same time, when I'm having these conversations with people and someone will fold in, I don't know, stress or their sleep or something else that's not related to food, they often say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent." And I say, "Oh, heck no, keep going," because this is what allows for a better understanding to then strategize and implement. Without it, you can't work in a silo. All of this needs to be taken into consideration to then allow for what should we prioritize and what can we prioritize maybe on a Saturday that we can on a Monday.
I love that answer. And what's coming to mind to me is how eating and exercising and money and emotions are all tied together. And if we get out of balance on one area, it could cause us to spend more time in another area. Even with exercise, there is a point where you're just doing too much for yourself, right? There's definitely a problem when there's too much focus on money. And I think a lot of people struggle with the eating part, right? When we're off balance, it's really easy to go to the freezer, pull out that pint of ice cream.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so then if we think about everything that goes into that, I often say, if someone describes that exact scenario to me, Sandy, I will often say, okay, stop. Let's take a minute and really, really write down or put somewhere, what are the messages you're telling yourself? What are you saying to yourself right there? Although it's leading to an activity around food, it's really a lot more that's going on. Are you saying to yourself, I'm stressed and I need comfort? Are you saying to yourself, I know I have these goals for myself, but I don't care about them right now. And if I don't, why not? There's a lot that goes into it. It has to be a lot more than just the education, because a lot of people have an idea of what to do, but then why aren't we doing it?
Oh, it's so important.
And I love that coaching because the same is true for money, right? Because when people are emotionally off, that could cause them to spend a lot more money. And I think those questions that you just mentioned apply there too.
Yeah.
Val, tell us, what's your next money conversation going to be and who's it going to be with?
My first money conversation is going to be with my partner. We are getting married next year.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
It's a big event.
It is a big event. It's important. I think that now that I have more space to think about it and talk about it and more comfort around it, that we should have that conversation. But I'm going to search for some support in the industry that allows for learning more and being able to have conversations and saying, okay, this is where I'm at. This is where I want to go. How do I do that? I think it's important to get your team together, whoever that is, but identify those players who can help you get to wherever it is you're looking to go.
Val, what an important conversation to be having. I'm going to point out that it's not one and done, ongoing and great time in life. And we hope you start with your origin stories with your significant other. It's really eye-opening to learn how they started learning about money.
Yeah, I can't wait to learn about that too.
Val, share with our listeners, please, where's the best place for them to find you?
I have a company site called Focus on Wellness. The website is focusedonwellness.health. You can search there and contact me there, or Val at focusedonwellness.health.
Thank you. It's been such a pleasure talking with you on Money Tales.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Money Tales podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, share it with someone you think would benefit from listening. And leave us a review on your favorite podcasting platform. Your ratings and reviews help more people find our podcast. If you're inspired to gain clarity and peace of mind about financial matters, don't hesitate to reach out to our team at Aspiriant. Go to aspiriant.com/start a dialogue. Or you can email Sandy and me at podcast@aspiriant.com. See you next time.